Before we start today's video, I just want to thank all of you for the support in this last year. 2025 has been an incredible year for us, and the fact that we've gotten so much content out and you guys have been enjoying it has been absolutely amazing. So I just want to thank everyone here so much for the support in 2025, and I hope you guys had a great year as well. What game are you guys looking forward to in 2026? And besides GTA 6, of course, let me know in the comments below. But let's get started with today's video. Just thank you guys for a great year, and I look forward to producing more content into 2026. Alright, well, we're at the end of the year and we have gotten great games. The Game Awards have ended and now we're wrapping up pretty much everything for 2025. It's kind of crazy how fast this year has gone, especially for gaming. We have gotten really good this year, and really we've gotten a really good games just in the last 3 years. So we are feeding, and it's been really good for us gamers. Yet there's this quote that keeps popping up that I want to talk about, and it might seem a little bit random, but it'll become relevant as we talk about it later. This quote that a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is always bad. And this has been disproven multiple times, but I want to talk about it in today's video because a lot of games that have been delayed are going into 2026. So we're going to see the byproduct of those delayed games and whether or not they're going to be good or disappointments. So let's talk about this quote here and why I think it's often misinterpreted and almost always misattributed to the wrong person. So I'm sure most of you have probably seen this image on the internet at least once, or maybe at a Twitter reply or in a YouTube comment. You've probably seen this image, and hell, you might have used it yourself. You might think this image is actually true and that Miyamoto actually said this. And while it would have been great if he actually did say this, no one knows if he actually did. He's never confirmed the statement. As a matter of fact, he's never been shown or heard saying this statement ever. No one can confirm that he has actually said this in person. So that statement right there is not necessarily true. It doesn't mean no one's ever said those statements, but it does mean that Miyamoto has never actually said in his own words or in any public event that a delayed game is eventually good, a rushed game is always bad. This has not been something that he has said officially, and probably hasn't actually said himself. I would like to say that he probably has thought about it. However, as an official statement, as an official quote, this is not true. He has not said this in any official capacity, so we need to just debunk that real quick. Now, I say this because a lot of times this quote is used to make Miyamoto, and by effect Nintendo, look good and other companies look bad, when every company is guilty at least once of rushing a game out way too early or delaying a game for years on end and it doesn't even come out remotely good. If you want to look at a recent example with Metroid Prime 4, that game was announced, I believe, nearly 10 years ago, and it only just released to pretty polarizing reviews from actual user critics. The critic score, I believe, is pretty high, so it has done well, but for that amount of time, you would have thought that a quote-unquote delayed game would do a lot better than about an 80. So that does kind of poke a hole in that theory, and I'm not just going after Nintendo when I say that quote. I am just pointing that out that a lot of times that quote is used to make them look a lot better when every company is guilty of this. We can also talk about Spider-Man 2, which allegedly was released way too early. So if that is the case, of course, we have an example where a rushed game wasn't quite as good as it could have been. Even though I still think it's a fantastic game, that's still an example of a rushed game right there. But those are rushed games, right? What about delayed games? What about what the quote is actually saying? A delayed game is eventually good. Well, I hate to break it to you, but a lot of delayed games are not usually good. In fact, a lot of delayed games are actually pretty bad. I don't need to name the examples, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's funny. Even with those various examples, though, I think that a delay for a game can definitely benefit a lot of them, and I think the quote can be taken to heart a little too seriously, though. So it's really a good balance of whether a delay for a game is necessary or only because the internal development is so bad that they have to push the game later on. We just saw a delay for that James Bond game that's coming out. I believe it got delayed to the release date of GTA 6's original release date of May 26th. So that's the release date for the new James Bond game. And that seems to make a little bit more sense because it does seem like they want to fix up some things from the release trailers that we've gotten. So a delay like that, you can honestly kind of see it. And of course, it's not a year-long delay like GTA 6, but rather about 2 or so months, I think. So with that in mind, I do think release dates like that do make sense, and delays can be very beneficial. But it's important to notice when a delay is necessary or if it's only because they want to get onto the Christmas sales. I really do want to talk about Cyberpunk here because that horse has been beaten to death, brought back, beaten again. But really, look at Cyberpunk. That game was released in December of 2020. It was originally supposed to release in November of 2020. It was originally supposed before that release in March 2020. Those are 3 separate release dates solely because they couldn't get their shit together. And once it actually released, it looks like it could have released in March 2021 because God knows we need more games in 2021. But they chose not to, and instead wanted to get those Christmas sales, those sweet Christmas sales, and they succeeded given how many sales Cyberpunk 2077 has just from the release date alone, simply being near Christmas and the new gen consoles. Absolutely insane. And it makes sense, right? They made absolute profit, but at the cost of having any stable launch whatsoever. So that is a prime example and will likely live for the test of time as a game that released solely to cash in on those Christmas sales. Those people who wanted to get a game for Christmas with their new console, well, there you go. You got Cyberpunk, and it was a complete shit show, and why you should not delay your game solely for Christmas. It's clear the game needed another year at minimum to get the shit right, and at the very least to launch with the next gen port. Had it launched in March 2021, not only would it have saved us from that drought of a year, but it also would have given us an actual thing to look forward to, a stable Cyberpunk. Maybe still a disappointment as many aspects of 1.0 are, but it still would have been a decent release. It wouldn't have been clowned on for being such a joke of a release. So that's a prime example right there that even with delays, it still turns out to be pretty shit. And yeah, you have those fixes or whatever, and maybe you could argue that it was rushed in some aspects, but I don't see it. You had 8 years of development time from your announcement to make this game, and it still comes out like this. So I don't know, it just tells me that a delay isn't a guarantee, just as a rushed game is not necessarily a poor game. Like I mentioned earlier with Spider-Man 2, even if you think it was really rushed, it's still a phenomenal experience just to play. Even as a tech demo or through gameplay, it's absolutely fun and great to play. Sure, maybe there are aspects that could have been longer, but the core gameplay is incredible. And the very fact that you get to play as Venom, all these aspects in here just make the game so much fun to play, even if it could have been better in certain areas. A rushed game is not always going to be a complete dumpster fire. Those giving it a 1 or a 0 are absolutely insane. It is not a 1 out of 10. You want a real 1 out of 10? Play Cyberpunk at release. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That's a bit of a tangent there. I didn't mean to really rush into that, but I do want to talk about it because a rushed game is not a guaranteed flop, and a delayed game is not a guaranteed successor. We are seeing with GTA 6 got delayed again. Honestly, I wouldn't get my hopes up for that game having a stable launch at this point. If it's going to launch with GTA 6 online, that's going to be a complete shit show. I'm just going to call it right now. But, it's a delay, so we just have to wait and see and hope that it comes out good. But it's not a guarantee, not by any means. That being said, those are about my thoughts on the quote and why I think it shouldn't be taken too seriously or used too loosely, because it just seems like people always think that a delayed game will always be a guaranteed success, when that's not always the case. And same with rushed games being always bad or good. It really just depends on the developers and how they're going to develop the game. It can always go either way, and really, you're never going to know until you actually play it and once the game is actually released. That being said, though, I do want to wrap up this video real quick with just a few updates about the channel, so I do apologize for that, but I do want to talk about it before we head into the new year of 2026, because it's going to be a great year, and we've already had a great year with the channel, but I do want to leave a few more updates before I let you guys go. So the first thing I want to talk about is my next few videos, because I know I've been gone for close to 2 weeks for the holiday season. I could have uploaded, but there was a lot of things that I was going on with that I didn't really want to bother you guys with. So unfortunately for that, I wasn't able to upload as much as I wanted to. So that's why I'm dropping this little video. And of course, I will be dropping significantly more in January. So be on the lookout for that. One of the videos I'm going to be working on is on a new review video. I haven't done one of those since I believe Spider-Man 2, so I will be working on a review for a certain game that may or may not be familiar to many of you. It is a rebirth, you could say, so be on the lookout for that. I am very happy with that game, and I will be doing my damnedest to make it one of my best videos yet. That's going to be on the back burner for now. There's going to be a few more little videos coming in to begin with January, followed with that review coming, I believe, near the end of the month. But I'll let you guys know as I work on the review for possibly my new favorite RPG. So we'll be talking about that in the future. But thank you guys so much for watching this little video. If you guys enjoyed, please hit that like button and subscribe. I could always use a new addition to the Dark Ops army. With this year, we are close to 800 subscribers, so that's absolutely insane number. So even just one subscriber, even one subscription helps reach our goal. We can hit 1,000 subscribers in 2026. That would be absolutely crazy. But thank you all of you for joining the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next year.